I have been asking you today, what do you crave? Lots of different ideas coming through about the things that you crave. I crave lime milkshakes sometimes some caramel. Sometimes things might be a bit carby. Lots of different things that we crave. Let's find out what that all means, though. Dr. Jo Lukens is with me in a moment. Maybe you do have a sweet tooth as well. Maybe you have sugar cravings when you're stressed. Apart from the taste, what is it about sugar, for example, that makes us feel so good? Psychology consultant and author Dr. Jo Lukens is with me now. Good morning.
Good morning, Susan.
So what is it about sugar that makes it so appealing to us psychologically?
Yeah, so many reasons, aren't there? But I think one of the key ones, if we look at physiologically what happens for us when we eat some sugar and we take in sugar, is we know that it activates a part in our brain that is basically the reward system. So what we do is when we have sugar, it releases dopamine and it gives us those sort of pleasure and satisfaction senses. So some argue that sort of has a little bit of an evolutionary past. You know, we know that sweet foods also give us energy and safety, and you know, in today's modern world we probably don't need so much of the energy and so much of the safety, but our relationship with sugar has not changed.
Maybe before we get into the rest of this, Dr. Jo, I should ask you what you crave.
Oh, look, so many things. And I think when we first talked about this last week, I have to confess, maybe I was eating a flake at the time. So I do have a sweet tooth. But I think this is one of the things that we know about cravings is different times of the day. So we're less likely to maybe have the sweet cravings first thing in the morning if that's not part of our everyday. But no surprises, these things kick in for us late afternoon and certainly early evening as well.
Yeah, does our environment influence it as well?
Oh, it absolutely does. So we have so many cues in our world that, you know, signal to us, do you want something sweet to eat? So, you know, you go and do a supermarket trip. You know, supermarkets aren't silly. The reason that they have those sweet treats there at the counter, you're fatigued at the end of your shopping, and fatigue is a key factor for why we might turn to some of those comfort pleasure foods. So we know that there's many things from the advertisements that we see. You know, we finish off our meals with sweet treats. And if you think about all the different things that we celebrate through life, it usually involves food, and there's usually a sweet element that goes along with that as well.
Yeah. So can our sugar cravings be managed or reduced at all? If so, if they can be, how do we do it?
Well, the good news is they can if we want them to. So the first thing is, I think, is to be aware of when are you more likely to reach for the sweeter treats. And as I said earlier, you know, that's not surprising if it's, you know, between 2 and 4 in the afternoon, or if it's sometime after dinner. So if you recognise when you are more likely to want those things, then you can be more proactive in terms of setting yourself up to make different choices. So it starts with being mindful about it, recognising, you know, maybe you go for sweet stuff when you're feeling stressed. And so I'm a big fan of delay tactics. So, you know, if I feel like something's sweet, if I can, I'll try and do something else beforehand. And sometimes those cravings will actually just naturally go away of their own accord.
Okay. Do some people crave sweet treats more than others?
Some people do. We also know that some people, it's just a more common way to look after themselves when they're feeling a bit stressed or they're feeling a bit harrowed, or the other thing is that most of our sweet treats are pretty easily accessible, so it's easy to go, you know, you can store sweet treats in a vending machine, whereas, you know, you don't really see apples in a vending machine, do you, or a bunch of carrots? So, you know, they're more easily accessed, and we know that if we know our personal triggers, then it can help you to be more in control of having a sweet treat when you want one. And it's not about not necessarily not having one, depending on your medical advice, but it's about being in control of when you have them and how much you enjoy them. And then we don't get things like guilt coming along for the ride as well.
I saw something the other day about having like a little nibble, but then having a big drink of water, so that you've sort of got that idea, at least, that you got that little hint of sugar, but then you hydrated rather. Is that a good way to curb, or is there a better tip that you might give us to curb the cravings?
Yeah, that's a great tip, because sometimes you see, like in the research that's been done in the restaurant domain shows that usually the level of satisfaction you get from something like a dessert is normally maximised within sort of 1 or 2 mouthfuls of the dessert, that after that you don't, get too, that point where you kind of go, oh, I feel like I've had enough now, but then you just keep eating through it all the way through.
Yes.
So, that's why maybe sharing a dessert, if you've got a kind friend, sharing a dessert at a restaurant can be enough. And I agree that having a little bit, and the other thing is make it hard for yourself. So if you've got a block of chocolate in the fridge, break off 2 or 3 pieces, whatever you wanted to have, put it all away, put it in the fridge, and then eat the chocolate. And I know it sounds silly, but it's so much more work to go back to the fridge and get it out again. So, those delay tactics, giving us a moment to think about it, going, okay, well, maybe I'll have some more, but I might go and hang out the washing. Or the little tip that I've found really helpful for me is if I feel like something sweet, I might go, okay, I'll have some sweet treat, but I'm going to eat a mandarin first, or pick something sweet. And often you'll find is that hit of sweetness, even though a mandarin is a long way from a chocolate bar, can be enough to delay it, but also enough for you to engage your brain to go, do I really want to be having this afternoon or this evening? So changing up some of those habits can be something that can help us as well.
Okay, so we've got some strategies to try out. Psychology consultant Dr. Jo Lukens, thank you very much for your time.
Good to chat with you.
Thank you. You are on ABC Queensland.